20b. Chaf Amid Bais. I'm going to start 7 lines from the bottom. The first word on line is Paita. It starts Tana Rabbanan. Missing a Gemara? There must be an art scroll. Something.
Come,
what about one of these?
Look at the electronics with me.
Your test. Take Bechoros Bais, the third one from the end of this book is here, right there. It just starts because of this. This is good. We're on Chaf. This starts on your test. No, it should have it. These volumes have 20 pages. 20 pages. The rest is commentary.
Wow.
That's why it's a set of shas, but it's look at the whole shelf. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. The Rabbi started in a Bais Gediyah. A female goat, she yelled the shalish banis, that gave birth to 3 girls. What's a female goat? Does it have a special name? A goat. V'chol b'naisa yoldu shalish. And each of the 3 gave birth to 3. So you have 9 grandchildren plus 3 is 12. 3 parents, 3 mothers. Kulan nichnasim l'dilas asha. They can all go into the pen, to the stable. What do you call a stable for goats? A pen to take meiser. That means that they could all be born in the same year. Rashi over here says that why we pick goats, because goats it's common for them to give birth to more than 1 at a time. So they'll give birth to 3. Turns out that that's a big problem, because that's not the reason why we pick the goat. We're picking a goat because we're trying to say that it can give birth within its first year. If you go back to the list that we had in the Mishnah, it's only the goat can give birth in the first year. When you're dealing with the sheep, it takes the second year to give birth. So I don't know the age of the grandmother here, but the age of the mother I do know, because the mother is giving birth within the first year of its birth, right? It has to be.
Yeah, but if it gave birth 1 at a time, then we'd have to have it over 3 years.
Granted. But my issue is that if it's a sheep, then if it had children, I would have to wait 2 years for it to have grandchildren.
True.
So it can only be a goat anyway. So Rashi's point is not the main point. The Rashash asks this. In defense of Rashi, it's not really Rashi. The Shita Mikubetzis over here says that all of these Rashis, all the way down to here, is all not Rashi, and then those Rashis are again not Rashi. So he says it's a mixture of Rashi and Rabbi Gershon. Okay, and Amar Reb Shimon says, I have seen that Meiser has been taken from this within its first year. No, that's not necessarily the translation. The translation may be within a year, within its year. It doesn't have to be within its first year. We'll see. There's a discussion here. Okay, Reb Shimon isn't really adding much. We're going to have to wait for the Gemara to explain what he's adding, because that's what the Tanakama said, that you can get meiser out of this, that this is all considered one group of animals that you can take meiser from. The Gemara asks, Lama li lemisni shalish shalish, why do we have to say that each one gave birth to 3? Telit chad minayot tlas. One of them gives birth to 3. Ve'inach tarti tarti, and the other ones only have to give birth to 2. So then what we would have is 3 of the mothers, plus another 3 that one of them gave birth to, would be 6. And then all I need is 2, which is 4. So 6 and 4 is 10. And I would be able to take meiser. Why do I need 12 here? So the Gemara answers, one of them had to have 3. Tanakulu the elder shalish. So we said all 3. We want to make it symmetrical. Otherwise, we're going to get into each one had 1, 2. This one had 3. This one had 4. What are you going to make yourself crazy? They just say they all had 3, and yes, we have some remaining, but that's how it's going to have to be. Lamali lamisni shalish. So why do you have to say that they gave birth to 3? Leldu kulatarti. Let each one give birth to 2. So you have 3 children. Each one gives birth to 2. That would be 6. Plus the 3 mothers would be 9. Now the grandmother goes and has another child. Because it can have 2 children a year. Leima kasavar, we go to the top of the page, Chafalef. Leima kasavar metanefes eina chizeres v'yeledes b'teich shenasa. Must be that we go back to what Rabbi Shmuel said. Remember, Rabbi Shmuel says that if you buy an animal from a non-Jew, you don't have to worry about that it had a child. You do have to. You don't not worry. You have to be concerned that it did not have a child beforehand, and therefore this is the first animal, because it can't have 2 children in the year. It can't have. So, and the sages told them, or Rabbi Kiva said, or Rabbi Shua said, that mitanefes, it can have some sort of soiling that will be considered a child. So it must be that over here we must be following that opinion, that they can't have a child. You can't have 2 children within the same year. That's why we had to choose that the children had 3 children each. Or otherwise, if we just wanted to get 10, we could have had the grandmother having an extra child. So it must be that it can't have another child within the year. And if you do want to say that with mitanefes it can have another child that year, but a miscarriage, that's a minor occurrence, and it may be able to have another child in the year. But to have a full birth, a full-term birth, and then another one, that for sure is not going to happen. That explains the case.
So this is according to everybody.
Right. I'm going to point out now the big problem with this. We had calculations of how the year works. We said 6 months, and then plus another month, and then now when you add this up, when were these children born? These 3. When were these 3 goats born? So we know for Meiser, Rosh Chodesh El is they have like a fiscal year, so Rosh Chodesh El is this animal is the Rosh Hashanah for Meiser. So if the mother was pregnant and gives birth to Rosh Chodesh El, then these children will be able to give birth already in, well, I don't know how old they have to be to give birth. Let's say a month, 2, 3, whatever. But they'll be able to give birth from that Elul anytime till the next Elul. Now it takes 5 months, so I don't want to go past Nisan, because and then I'm going to miss it. But I can get another birth in there from before Nisan. If it mates before Nisan, I can get another birth in there. Now, the mother that gave birth in Elul, why can't it give birth again? What do we have to do? You have to wait a month? To wait 6 months. And it can still give birth and have another child. Right. So there's a problem here with this. Okay, Rashi asks this. I don't see where Rashi asks it, but Tosfos quotes Rashi asking this question. Okay. I'm not going to resolve it. I don't know. I didn't go through the commentaries.
It's not needed. You already have a case.
No, we asked, why do we need to have 3 children each? Each one will have 2 children. Right. That's 6. Plus the mothers will be 9. And then the grandmother goes and has 1 more child. So we said, no, it's impossible. The grandmother can't have another child because it just gave birth. Can't have another child this year. Saying that that's not true. I need those births to be after Rosh Chodesh Elul. But then I have 12 months. And the mother can have another child within 12 months. It only takes 5 months for the gestation. And what do we need? Before we said you had to wait 1 month for Tinuf. We said Tinuf takes 1 month and then she gets pregnant again. Okay. Amar Rab Shimon Ani Re'isi Gediyah. Reb Shimon says, I didn't. We didn't get into what it means b'teich shnasa within. It doesn't mean within its first year, or it doesn't mean within 1 year. Let me change things a little bit. Okay, Reb Shimon says, I saw that it gave birth, and we were able to take Meiser all within 1 year. Ma'yaka bein Tanakama le Reb Shimon. What's the difference between Tanakama and Reb Shimon? It seems to be that's what the Tanakama is saying, that you can have 3 children. Those 3 children each have 3 children, and you take Meiser within 1 year. Comes along Reb Shimon and it says, I saw that we took Meiser within 1 year. So what's he adding to that? So Ika binaya de Zeiri. He's adding, the difference is what Zeiri holds. Remember Zeiri, we learned yesterday, he held that tinef takes 1 month. If it has this sort of miscarriage, it has to wait a month. So Tanakami Islay de Zeiri, Reb Shimon Leslie de Zeiri. You see, if you look at Reb Shimon's words, he says, She Isra b'toich shenasa, within the year. See, according to the Tanakama, let's play it out like this. Let's say the mother does that have to start in 6 months in. For some reason we were using this calculation that it was 6 months in where it became where it gave birth. Oh yeah, we're gonna need that. You see, I need the offspring to give birth this year.
Right.
So I need the offspring to be at least 5 months old to have the child. Let's say they mate on the first day. The first day they're born, they're gonna need 5 months. So for the gestation. So.
And they have to be mature.
But they have to be mature also. So let's say they have to be a month old. So let's say they're born, the offspring, the first generation, the group of 3 is born at the end of Shvat. So then I would have Adar for them to mature 1 month. They would mate. Then I would have Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av. And the last day of Av, the end of Shvat is when they were born, and they mate the last day of Adar. So then I would have full 5 months that they could give birth. Now, that's if I hold they're giving birth twice. Why do I need tinef here? Why do I need tinef? There's no one's giving birth twice. The grandmother has children and the children have. So why do I need tinef? It must be that the term for tinef just means the amount of time it takes for them to mature. If I hold of Zeiri, so then I have to wait 1 month, a full month between their birth and them mating.
Oh yeah.
That's what it must
Zeiri
be.
says?
No, Zeiri says tinef. It takes a month, but it must be that there's.
Because it has to regain its strength.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. Ein lecha tinef gadol mileda, Rashi says, well, not Rashi, whatever this is. Okay, so the Tanakama holds of Zeiri, so you have to wait a full year. So when are you going to be able to put it in the pen for Meiser? Only on the very last day. But Reb Shimon, who doesn't hold of Zeiri, Reb Shimon last like the Zeiri, he's going to hold b'toich shnasa. You can go back maybe 10 days, because it could have mated within its first month already, and then you can get a few days in there, a week or 2 or whatever. Iba Yasema, another pshat. The Kuli Alma Islay the Zeiri. Everyone holds that it needs to be a month old. The question is, can it give birth early? Do you need a full 5 months there? According to the Tanakama, you need a full 5 months. Reb Shimon Yeledus. According to Reb Shimon, that's fine. That it is Yeledus l'mekutan. Iba Yasema the Kol Yalma ina Yeledus l'mekutan. Everyone holds that you need the full 5 months. The Tanakama layam nin miktasiyam kukulay. Reb Shimon Amrin and Mitzvah Yom Kikuli. Now the question is, what about the very last day? Is it, even though it needs to be a full 5 months, but do we say that part of the day is considered like a full day? And if that's the case, then if it mates on the last day of Shvat, and the last day of, let's say, Adar, rather, so then it's going to give birth on the last day of Av. How do I do this? What's going to be Mitzvah Sayim Kikuli? And it's considered that it gave birth within the first year. I guess the question is, if it's born, if you need a full month from after its birth till it can mate, and then is a full month mean part of the day, or does it mean a complete day? If I need a complete day, then you're going to only come out at the very last day. But if I need part of the day is enough, then I can get it a day earlier to be born, for the third generation to be born. Iba Yasema, if you want, I can say the Kuli Alma Amrin Mixim Kikuli. Here we have an interesting point. You see, in order for an animal to become a korban, if that's what Meiser is, you take the 10 animals and you designate one of them as a korban. If you count till 10, the 10th one is a korban. The question is, some of these animals are too young to be brought as a korban. The korban needs to wait Shivas Yam Tachas Imai. 7 days it needs to be with his mother. It can only be a korban on the 8th day. So here we're working it out that it's going to be born on the very last day.
It's not going to be a korban.
So how can it be a korban? So what we're saying is that here's our machlekes, where Reb Shimon holds that even though it can't be a korban right now, but I can still designate it as a korban, and then I'll wait 7 days and I'll bring it in on the 8th day. According to the Tanakama, no, you can't even designate it now. V'hatanya, Rashi says, this V'hatanya is b'nichusa, is read gently, not as a question. It's taught in a Braisa. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, Aimer, Reb Shimon ben Yehuda says, Mishum Reb Shimon, in the name of Reb Shimon, which that's the Reb Shimon that we're referring to, Mechusr Zman nichnas l'dir l'esasher. That you can bring in a Mechusr Zman, something that's lacking the time, that means it's too early, you can put it into the pen for Meiser to be taken. Baharei, it says Hain, it's supposed to be Hu. Baharehu kebachar. And it's similar, it's comparable to a Bachar. Why is it what does it mean similar to a Bachar? Ma Bachar Kadosh Lefnei Zmanai. When the Bachar is born, it's already sanctified. You can't bring it as a sacrifice, you have to wait 7 days till the 8th day. Bikar of Lachar Zmanai, but you bring it after the 8th day, Zaf Mechusr Zman. Same thing we'll say with Mechusr Zman. Kadosh Lefnei Zmanai, Bikar of Lachar Zmanai. It's sanctified, but you bring it later. So it fits. This Reb Shimon, Shimon's opinion, it fits with what Reb Shimon also says in another place. The Gemara asks, Adi Yalaf mi Bechor Nelaf mi Kachim. Why are you saying that Meiser is similar to Bechor, and therefore Meiser you can designate and you can sanctify before its time? Let's compare it to other sacrifices where you can't do this. That's clear. By other sacrifices, you're not supposed to sanctify it until the 8th day. Rashi says, "Leilef mikadshim." He says, Rashi says, "Shein yachalak disham chusman shein kedusha chala alayim." You see that, Rashi? The Rambam doesn't say that. The Rambam says that you're not allowed to sanctify it, but if you do, it's still b'diavad.
Well, then, what's the point of running it through the pen and counting 10 if you can't sanctify it?
Right. That would be the issue here. That why are you allowed to put it through the pen? You can't sanctify it. So we're saying Reb Shimon holds that you can put it through the pen. Why? Because you can sanctify it, because he's comparing it to Bechor, which could be sanctified from the first day. But if we compare it to Kadshim, then you can't do it. So we're asking a kasha on Reb Shimon's opinion, who's lenient. He says that you are allowed to put it into the pen. Maybe we should compare it to Kachim, and you aren't allowed to put it into the pen.
So he's adding another 8 days to the
Right.
whole calculation.
Right. If that the question is adding another 8 days.
So you're gonna miss the deadline.
Yeah. If it was at the end of, if it was born in Shvat, if the mothers were born in Shvat, but they could have been born in Elul, it would give me much more time.
I understand. I like the
Yeah, we-
opinion of Rav Shimon. Once you've got the potential for something like Bechor,
Right.
why do you have to? So you know that a baby boy is born. You know there's going to be a bris on the 8th day, barring any other problems. Why are you going and looking for Kudshim and saying, well, yeah, let's compare it to Kudshim? I don't even like the question.
I think there's a responsibility here that's going on to Kachim on an animal that needs so much maintenance on its first few days. Its first 7 days, the mother has to maintain it together with the homeowner. Now we're saying, oh, but you're allowed to sanctify it. So the Torah is saying, no, you take care of it for the first 7 days and then you bring it to the temple. All the hard work you keep and bring it to the temple when this is already graduated from university. So now we're saying, no, you can sanctify it early. And so what's going to happen? All of this maintenance, then meanwhile, the person can say, it's not my animal anyway. I'm not going to take care of it as well. It's not my animal. It's the temple's animal. So there's a logic there of saying that, no, you take care of it for 7 days, don't sanctify it yet. After 8 days, then you'll sanctify it, and then...
But we had the same logic with Bechor, with using the animal and this and that, until we're going to move and things like that. I mean, we've been using this logic of taking advantage of a situation until you have to,
Right.
pay your
But here
bill.
we're setting it up. This is setting up the system.
You can't work with it.
Well, whatever the situation was. I
Right.
think.
Or it could be just the way of learning the psukim. It says Shivas Yom Tachasimai. Maybe that means you can't sanctify.
I need another cup of coffee.
Actually, that's not true. Bechor Kesed, that's talking about Bechor. Okay. So the Gemara says, Mistaber mi Bechor Havlei Lamelach. And now we're going to do this, what the Gemara does, where it takes all the similarities that it has to Bechor, and it's Meiser, that Meiser has to Bechor, and it throws them against all the similarities that Meiser will have to all other Kachim, and it will say that Bechor is more, and that's why we're going to do it. They say, as we did many times in Zvachim and Menachas. Okay. Gemara says, "Mistab Bechor Havlei Lamelach Shkein Goyal." You can't redeem a Bechor. A Bechor gets a mum, but you don't. When the Bechor gets a mum, so then it just belongs to the Kohen. Now, by Meiser, also you don't redeem it. Who does it go to? The owner. You don't have to redeem it. It just gets a mum, and then it's the owner's. But there's not a redemption there that would mean redemption is more like you replace it, that you would do for other animals, where you redeem it and then you get another one. Here it was a Bechor, okay, now it's not. This was Meiser, okay, now it's not. So it just stays by the owner. So that's a similarity. Mum. Other sacrifices cannot be sanctified if they have a mum prior to their sanctification, before they're consecrated. A Bechor is born, even whether it has a mum or not, it's a Bechor. In Meiser also, I don't look for which animals have a mum and say which ones are allowed into the pen to be counted. I can put it in and it gets sanctified even if it has a mum. That's a similarity, a strong similarity that it has to Bechor. Temuras. Bechor and Meiser, you don't bring their Temurah. Other sacrifices, if you say, I'm exchanging this animal for this animal, which you're not allowed to do, but if you do that, you have to bring them both. By Bechor and Meiser, I can't get another animal into being the status of a Bechor by exchanging it. And I also can't get another animal to becoming a Meiser by just exchanging it. So there's no Temurah that's brought. And then Achila. Now, Rashi says Achila means that they're eaten, Bechor and Meiser are eaten with a mum without pidyon. If they get a mum, then either the bechor is eaten by the kohen and the meiser is eaten by the Yisrael. Tosfos has a big problem with that. He says you just said that by goyal, that you don't redeem it and it's eaten without pidyon. That was the first one. So you're like double dipping. You're getting 4 out of when there's really only 3. So Tosfos says achila actually means that
You have one day to eat it.
it can't be sold and weighed the same way that other animals are sold in the marketplace. Ein nishchatin be'itlas. Okay. That's our comparison, Bechor to Meiser. And there's 4 of them here. What they are, what the 4th one is machlek. The Gemara says.
What do we say in Mezun Mekanim? We say.
Then,
Yeah. I think we say Bechor and Meiser Pesach. Compare them all. Bechor and Meiser Pesach. Shina Bachilas.
yeah, it doesn't discuss the redemption there, or the
Right.
how it's sold if it has a mum.
But maybe Bachila means the Shnei Yomim B'Layla Echad, or it can't mean that?
No, because you would have a
Oh,
shlamim
no,
is
no,
also.
because, no, right. What?
There's a shlamim and a
Also-
shnei yamim.
Okay. Right.
So the Gemara says, Adarab, on the contrary, Mikachim have a leila melech. Let's compare it to Kachim. Shekain Zachar. You see, a Bechor needs to be a Zachar. Meiser doesn't need to be a Zachar. So it uses it, what it means, it's not a Zachar. It uses it, just a term to as a symbol of the comparison. Kadesh. You have to sanctify it. Bechor is just born. Meiser you have to sanctify, and other animals you also have to sanctify. The matanes, it's considered, a Bechor is considered a gift to the Kayanim. Meiser is not a gift to the Kayanim, just like the other sacrifices are not considered a Kayan gift. Bechor is a Kayan gift. And Pashat, it's not a firstborn. That should have been the first one. And Rashi actually has it as the first one. The order is changed in the different Rishonim. Okay. So, we have another 4. So why are you choosing Bechor over Kodshim when you can compare Meiser to Bechor just as well you compare it to Kodshim as you did to Bechor? So who says that Meiser should have the status of Bechor, that you can sanctify it before it's 8 days? Ela Rab Shimon Havara Gamer. Rab Shimon learns from Gzeir Shava. It says Vavarta Kol Per Terechem, and it says Kol Asher Yavar Tachsa Shevet. That verb, to pass, to cause it to pass, or make it pass, that is the same verb that's used by that description is used by Bechor, and it's also used by Meiser, and so therefore that tells me the comparison. And so I know that I can bring it into the pan even before it's 8 days, even before it's ready for to be sanctified, or to be brought as a sacrifice. Now the Gemara asks, what does it mean? What's an example of tinuf? What is tinuf? We said that if it has a soiling, so then it has to wait a month. It's machlekes with ziri. Amar is supposed to be Rav. They corrected to Rav. Amar Rav, Keda Amri Reusa Ditzalta. Reusa is the shepherds. Ditzalta is a place. Like the shepherds of Tzalta say, Otzar Chiyusa. The aleph of Otzar is exchanged for an ayin. And it's like Otzar, to squeeze tight. So it means that the animal squeezes its womb tight, and when the calf is born, when the baby is born, it gets crushed. So it doesn't
during birth.
During birth. So Otzar Chiyusa means it comes out squeezed or dissolved, possibly. Squirt. Shmuel Amar Ba'buei Dama. It's bubbles of blood. Like, that's what we were thinking, some sort of very early miscarriage. So it says, V'tzarech la'areisei l'chacham. You have to show it to the chacham to see if it's considered a fetus or if it's not considered a fetus. So the Gemara asks this great question, Chacham min hayada. How does the wise man know?
That's like the Manishta. What is it?
The Chacham How does the Chacham know? Amar Rav Papa Raya Chacham. We're not talking about a Talmud Chacham, we're talking about a shepherd that's a Chacham. Now you can imagine what's going on over here in the commentaries. First of all, your question that a shepherd is not trusted because he's a Ganav. And, in the yeshiva world, this whole question doesn't make sense. Because the Talmidei Chachamim know everything. Even to install Windows on the computer. I mean, the Talmidei
It says here that the Chacham is referring to a midwife. That's what's saying down below.
That's in the answer. That's in the Raya Chacham. That's in the answer. Because the question must, right? Look carefully. When it says
notes on the bottom,
no, but see if that note is going on. The question you have to show it to a Chacham.
Yeah, that's at the end of that. There it says footnote 18.
What does it say?
Oh, wait. You're right. That footnote, Chacham min hayada.
I think that Chacham means like a rabbi. That Chacham means a rabbi. You have to show it to the rabbi. Mm-hmm. They say, how does a rabbi know if this blood, you're showing him some bubbles of blood?
Right.
And the answer is that no. The rabbi doesn't know.
Right.
You have to show it to a midwife, a shepherd, or something that knows how they're over there helping the animal give birth. Right. That's the big work that they have.
Right.
The footnote was on the answer.
They quote in this, to answer this, they quote Margolius Ayam, Rabbi Margolius on Sanhedrin over there when it says that Rav spent time by the shepherd for 18 months to learn.
Yeah.
That was like a big chiddush because to learn these sort of halachas you had to hang out with the shepherds. Right. And it could be that was something that they didn't want to do. They didn't want to hang out over there. It could be based on all of that. The shepherds are, so that's why this may be something specifically. Even though the Chachamim, they had to know the practical things in order to paskin anything. Right. They had to know if they had to study these things. Right. You can't just learn the Shulchan Aruch and not have the practical, right? So
Google it.
But this could be something that they didn't want to learn. Okay.